He cracked my safe like it was nothing. Didn't ask. Didn't even look ashamed. I gave it to your sister, he said, holding my envelope of cash like it wasn't my future in his hands. Her candle shop matters more than whatever you were planning. $28,000. Gone. I stood there frozen. Like if I stayed still long enough, maybe the betrayal wouldn't be real. But then, Grandpa walked in, cane tapping the hardwood, eyes sharp. He looked at Dad and asked softly, "Where's the college fund I entrusted to you?" And in that moment, my father, the man who always had a reason, a lecture, an excuse, turned white. My name is Alina West, and if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. What happens when the people who raised you also robbed you? It started with trust, and it ended with a key code I never should have shared. For 2 years, I'd worked like hell. Scholarships didn't cover it all. So I waitressed, I tutored, I did freelance graphics until 3 a.m. I stacked every dollar into that safe. 28,000. Every cent counted twice. Because I had a dream too. Akla. Grad school. Debt-free. And he knew that. He saw the acceptance letter. Still, he chose her. It's not personal, he said, waving his hand. She needs this more. You're always fine. No apology. No guilt. Just entitlement. But then Grandpa stepped in. His voice low, deadly calm. That was her money, Frank. And some of it was mine. Remember the check I gave you to hold, just in case? Dad's throat clicked when he swallowed. That's when I realized. He didn't just steal from me. He'd stolen from him, too. And suddenly I wasn't alone. I didn't yell. Didn't demand it back. I just sat down. Smiled. Because the chaos? It had only just begun. Dad stammered. The college fund? I used part of it to help get her started, just a loan. Grandpa didn't blink. Didn't flinch. Frank, that wasn't yours to loan. Silence. The kind of silence that only lives between a father and son, when one has just exposed the other. My mother walked in next, holding laundry like a shield. She sensed the tension, looked between us. What's going on? Grandpa turned toward her slowly. Did you know he opened Alina's safe? Took her savings? Used the fund I gave him to float a candle business. Her lips parted, but she didn't deny it, which meant she knew. All those times she said, "Don't make a scene, just let her have her moment." She wasn't keeping peace. She was keeping secrets. I stood up, still calm. This isn't just about a candle shop. This is about every time you told me I was selfish for wanting a life that wasn't dependent on handouts. Every time I got told to wait, to understand, to sacrifice. My sister wasn't home. She was probably at her new studio, filled with jars I unintentionally funded. Probably telling her friends, "Dad believes in me." He believed in her. He believed so much. He gambled with 2 generations of trust. And now, Grandpa sat on the couch, pulled out his old leather notebook. He flipped pages until he found the one marked, College Alina. He pointed to the figure, $15,000. That's what I gave you. In good faith. For her. Dad rubbed his face. I thought I'd put it back before she noticed. Before I noticed. As if I was just supposed to keep working, keep saving. Never realizing the foundation had already been pulled from under me. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just pulled out my phone, opened the camera, and snapped a picture of the notebook page with Grandpa's handwriting. Proof. Because I knew this story was about to spiral. And when it did, I wasn't going to be the one caught lying. By morning, the house was whispering. My mom cooked like nothing had happened. Eggs sizzling, radio humming. But her eyes didn't meet mine. Dad had already left. Or maybe he was hiding. And Grandpa, he sat in the sunroom, sipping black coffee, flipping through old ledgers like they were evidence files. I joined him, silent at first. Then he said, "I trusted your father with something sacred. He turned it into a favor." I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. He looked over and added, "And you never asked me for a cent." That stung more than anything, because I had my pride. I didn't want to be another hand outstretched in the family. Didn't want to be like her, my sister, the golden one, the dreamer, the girl who always failed upwards. While I rationed gas money to get to work, she got fresh paint, artisanal wax, and branded packaging, all paid for with stolen hope. "You think I should confront her?" I asked. Grandpa shook his head. "No, let her find out the way your father did, when the ground starts cracking under her feet." I frowned. "I don't want revenge." He smiled, slow and sad. "You don't need revenge, Alina. You just need truth. And maybe a little exposure." That word, exposure, stuck. I opened my laptop, started digging through the transaction history. The safe was mine, but the envelope inside? Labeled in my handwriting. Photographed, thank God, months ago. Time-stamped. Tagged. I still had the email receipts too, from every gig, every freelance job. It painted a picture, and that picture said, this wasn't just family sharing. This was theft. Then I checked the candle shop's Instagram. There it was, a soft-lit photo of my sister with her new shelving unit. Captioned, "Manifested this moment, all from hard work and faith." Hard work? I screenshot the post, then opened a new folder on my desktop and named it Inheritance of Lies. Because if they wanted this to stay private, they should have never lit the match. I didn't post anything. Not yet. Sometimes silence builds more pressure than noise. But I did start sending a few quiet messages to the scholarship fund director who once asked me to speak about financial resilience, to the nonprofit who'd featured my sister's business as a self-made, female-owned success, to the community college my sister claimed she dropped out of to follow her passion. I didn't accuse. I just asked questions, linked a few receipts, let the truth ripple slowly. That afternoon, I got a text from her. "Hey, smiley face. Can you come by the studio today? I want to show you the new candle line. Also, just wanted to talk." Talk. Funny how that always happens after the dam cracks. I went. She greeted me with open arms, fake lavender scent in the air, lip gloss perfect, shirt reading boss babe energy. "Alina," she said, "I know things have been tense, but I just want us to support each other's dreams." I looked around. Wooden tables, custom jars, fresh product labels. "Nice setup," I said. "Looks expensive." She laughed. "I mean, I worked for it." I tilted my head. "Really?" "Because I checked the licensing under your LLC. The startup funds came from an account you didn't open." Her smile faltered. "I'm not here to fight," she mumbled. "I thought maybe we could co-host a pop-up or something. You're good at branding." I stepped closer. "You know what I'm good at? Documenting. Every dollar I ever earned. Every check Grandpa ever wrote." I pulled out a printed transaction sheet, laid it on the wax-scented counter. She scanned it, and then said the thing that made me realize she was exactly like him. "Dad said you wouldn't notice." That's when I knew. She didn't feel bad. She felt caught. So I left. Didn't slam the door. Didn't say a word. But the moment I stepped outside, I forwarded everything to Grandpa. And then I called a lawyer. Because trust is fragile. But paper trails? They're bulletproof. The lawyer's office smelled like old books and new decisions. He read through the file slowly, glasses low on his nose. Printouts, bank statements, screenshots, a paper trail stitched together with betrayal. Finally, he looked up. "You've got enough here for a civil claim, especially if the funds were stolen and used without your consent." I nodded. "I don't want to ruin anyone, but I'm not letting them rewrite the story." Because that's what they do, right? Rewrite, reframe, reshape the truth until the victim becomes the villain, and the thief becomes the dreamer. Not this time. That night, Grandpa and I sat in the living room. No TV, no noise, just the low rumble of thunder in the distance. I made a mistake trusting him, Grandpa said. Your father always wanted to look generous, but he used other people's wallets to do it. I didn't respond, because that's exactly what he'd done to me. My wallet, my sacrifice, dressed up as someone else's success story. Then Grandpa reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a check. Blank. I'm rewriting the fund. Myself. In your name. I stared at it, shook my head. I don't want your money. I want my name back. He smiled. Then use it for that. File the claim. Make it loud. Let people know what happens when you steal a girl's future and call it family. The next day I filed. It wasn't a lawsuit for cash. It was for restitution, for recognition. And the moment it hit their inbox, the panic began. Mom called. Alina, this is extreme. You're tearing the family apart. My response? No, Mom. I'm just making sure I'm no longer the glue. My sister posted a deep quote on her Candle Brands page. Some people build, others burn. Funny, coming from someone who lit the match with my tuition money. But I didn't reply. Instead, I drafted a single email to the same nonprofit that gave her the spotlight months ago. Attached? Receipts. By morning, the nonprofit had responded. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We had no idea the funding source was misrepresented. We're pausing all collaborations until further notice. I stared at the email for a while. Not with joy, not with revenge, with relief, because it meant I wasn't crazy. It meant the world was finally seeing what I'd been whispering into pillows for years. I took a screenshot, saved it to the same folder. Inheritance of lies. Later that afternoon, I passed by the candle shop, not to gloat, just to feel the energy shift. The windows were still lined with her jars, but the closed today sign hung like a question mark. The lights were dim, and on the front step, a cardboard box of returned supplies, labels still fresh. Inside, I could see a few of the branded self-made candles she'd flaunted online. The sticker on one jar had started to peel. It felt symbolic. I didn't knock. I didn't need to. 2 blocks away, I sat at a coffee shop. Grandpa met me there. Ordered black. I ordered iced, extra sweet. I heard she's losing suppliers, he said, reading my face. I nodded. She overpromised. Turns out you can't build a business on borrowed lies. He looked at me carefully. You okay? I sipped slow. I thought I'd feel satisfied, but I don't. Why? Because I wasn't trying to win. I was just trying to be seen. To matter. Grandpa tapped his cane once. You always did. You just finally stopped asking them for permission. I looked out the window. 2 girls around my age were laughing, notebooks open, probably planning futures they thought were still theirs. For a second, I wished I still had that kind of innocence. But then I remembered. I didn't lose innocence. I traded it for clarity. And now, I had no debt, no delusion, and no one left who could twist my story without meeting my receipts first. The letter came in a cream envelope. No return address. Just my name, written in handwriting I knew by heart. My father's. I opened it slowly. Alina, you've made your point. But if this goes public, it'll ruin your sister. It'll humiliate the family. I was wrong, but this is cruelty. Please be better than me. Dad. I folded it once. Then again. Then tucked it in the folder with everything else. Not to save it, but to remind myself what guilt sounds like when it wants control. They always ask for mercy, after they spend years taking your silence for granted. I didn't respond. Instead, I got an email the next day, from a university donor board. One of Grandpa's old friends had heard what happened. He forwarded my application story, the full version. With my permission, they posted it to their alumni site. She worked 3 jobs, saved $28,000. Her family took it, but she still showed up, receipts in hand, spine unshaken. It went viral within the academic network. And then the real message came. From the dean at UCLA. Alina, we'd like to offer you a merit-based scholarship. Full tuition. Your story reached us, and it deserves an ending that reflects your strength. I stared at the email for 5 minutes before I cried, because all this time, I thought justice looked like revenge. But sometimes, justice is just being seen, loudly, publicly, and without apology. I called Grandpa. I got it, I said, voice cracking. He didn't ask what. He just replied, told you the truth, always shows up. Might be late, but it always knocks. That night, my sister posted a new reel. No candles, no studio, just her on a walk, lips tight, voice soft. Sometimes people try to tear down your dream because they can't build one of their own. I didn't reply. I didn't need to, because I wasn't fighting anymore. I was packing. UCLA was waiting. The last thing I packed was the photo. Me at 14, braces and all, standing between Mom and Dad, holding my first honor roll certificate, back when I thought love was earned through achievement, back when their approval felt like air. I tucked it inside a book and zipped the suitcase shut. Grandpa drove me to the airport. Neither of us spoke much, until we pulled up to the terminal and he turned the engine off. You sure you're okay? He asked. I nodded. I'm not leaving with hate, just history. He smiled. You were never supposed to stay small, just to keep them comfortable. I hugged him tight and whispered, thanks for seeing me when they didn't. Inside the terminal, my phone buzzed. A new message from Dad. We'll always be your family. Just remember who loved you first. I read it once, deleted it, because love without respect isn't love. It's leverage. And I had finally unhooked myself from it. As the plane took off, I looked down at the city. The broken promises, the quiet theft, the safe I'd never open again. I didn't feel regret. I didn't feel rage. Just a strange kind of peace. Like I had buried something that was never mine to carry in the first place. At UCLA, I walked onto campus alone, but not empty. In my bag was the scholarship letter. My own reset diamond ring, the one Grandpa gave me as a joke, and a single candle from her shop, not to keep, to remind me, even wax melts under heat. But some women, we sharpen. So no, I didn't get justice from them. I found it in me.